Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to mark a foam bell into 8 equal segments just like this. And this is very handy for certain patterns that we've got coming up, including our infinity bell pattern, which is the pattern that you're seeing here in these two ornaments. They look different, but they're the exact same pattern. They both start with 8 sections in the top and go top to bottom following those 8 sections. And so if you've got a foam bell that's marked like this, it's really going to make your life a lot easier. And then it all comes down to the bottom, converging in the very center, which you will use as you create bottoms like these. Okay, so hopefully this will be helpful for you. Let's go ahead and start. We did create something that is going to make this a lot easier. Now, marking these foam bells is a little tiny bit tricky in certain parts, but we did create something that's going to make it a little easier for you, and that is this printable bell dividing template. You can find a link for this right below. It is completely free, and all you need to do is cut out one of these 2 circles along the dotted line, and it will fit the bottom of this bell. I've already got one stuck on here. It fits it perfectly. Okay, now if you've got a different bell than the ones that we've got, the soft foam bells, if you've got a different size, you can still use this. If it's a little bit bigger, just cut outside of that dotted line and make your circle a little bit bigger. And if it's a little smaller, you can just cut inside of the dotted line and make it a little bit smaller. Either way, it's still going to help you divide the bottom of your bell into 8 equal segments. So that is really handy. So here is my circle cut out. I am going to just pin this right to the bottom of my foam bell. Now you'll notice if you've got the OG soft foam bells that there is a mold line going up one side up to the top and then down the other. So I like to just align one of the lines in this template with that line. But if you don't have those lines, that's okay. And I'm just going to pin that in a couple of spots. I'm not pushing them all the way in because I want to be able to pull them out easily here in a second. All right, now we just want to mark these lines right on the foam. I'm going to use a pen because it'll be easier for you to see in the video, but if you want to use something lighter like a pencil, that's totally fine, especially if you've got light colored fabrics that you're going to be making your bell with. You don't want to be able to see any pen or marker or anything through those, so keep that in mind. But just so you guys can see it, I'm going to use a pen. And what I'm doing is I'm making a little dash mark right there where each of those segment lines meets the foam, just like this. All the way around until we have 8 of them. And there we go. And that's it. We're done with that. That made it easy, right? So now we're just going to actually extend those lines up to the top and to the bottom. I'm going to start with the bottom because I find that to be a little easier. And so all we need to do is take 2 opposite dash marks and line up a tape measure right alongside of those dash marks. Make sure you go right opposite each other, and it should go right through the center of the base. And if you want to, you can use pins to hold it in place. If you're having a hard time holding on to that, you don't want it to move around on you, but if not, you can just hold it like I am and draw a line right across. All right, there's line number 1. I'm going to do the exact same thing perpendicular to that first line. And now we're going to do 2 more lines between those. And these lines should go right through the center where those first 2 lines intersected. All right, I'm a little off on that last one, but that's okay. I think I'm close enough. So now we want to do the exact same thing, but we're going up to the top of the bell. Now this is a little more awkward because the bell has that curve, so it's a little weird, but it's not impossible. The only other thing that's a little bit weird about it is there's nothing really telling you where the center of the top is, and so when you go to do your first line, it can be a little, like you really have to eyeball it and make sure it looks like you're going through the top. I can see there's light flashing off the top of my bell, so let me turn my light down a little bit. Okay, sorry about that. I hope it wasn't too bad in the whole beginning of this. So what I like to do is, because we've already got that one mold line marking the center on going one direction, I want to start with the line that would be directly perpendicular to that first line because I feel like that makes it a little easier to eyeball. I can look at it and kind of see, does it look like it's centered? Now again, don't worry about being absolutely perfect. These are just kind of guidelines that we're going to go off of as we're working. And it's probably going to be hard to get it absolutely dead on perfect. We're just trying to go as close as we can. So I'm going to start just at one of those lines that's perpendicular to the mold line. Here's my mold line right here. So this is one of the ones that's perpendicular to that. And I am going to use pins on this part because it's a little bit harder to hold on to. And I'm pinning down here right alongside that one hash mark. And I'm going to bring this right up over the top and then down the opposite side to the opposite hash mark, which is right there. All right, so now I want to take a look at this and just kind of eyeball it and see if I can kind of guesstimate where that middle is. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to pop a pin right up there at the top to help hold that too. Now notice that this isn't laying flat against the curve of the bell right here. There's a space in there. That's okay. What I'm going to do is hold this with my opposite thumb so that it doesn't move around on me, and I am going to just take my pen and very lightly just follow that down. Just kind of resting the pen up along the tape measure. That's kind of like guiding it, and I'm not pushing into it or anything, just letting it guide my pen going down. And you can see the line is not absolutely perfect, but that's okay. It's doing what it's supposed to do. That's good enough for me. Oops, and I came loose over here. Now I'm going to turn this upside down for this side since I'm a lefty, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing, holding that in place and just letting it guide me. Okay, so here's where you can really, once you take that tape measure off, you can kind of see like, does it look like it's pretty straight? And I'm looking at this and it's close. Looks like it could be could have went slightly to the right, but it's close enough for me. So what I'm gonna do is just darken that spot right there where it crisscrossed the line, the mold line. And this is kind of what to me looks like the center now. And so what I'm using this darkened spot for is when I do my next two lines, I am aiming for this spot as the center, because to me that looks like it's pretty close. All right, so now this part's a little easier because we've got that center part marked. I'm doing the exact same thing, and now I'm going to go on two of the other lines that we've got. Going right alongside that center point that I made. And then just using that tape measure as a guide for my pen. I got a little too loose over here, I think. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. So we've got one more to draw, and I am actually also going to draw, I'm going to darken the mold line too, just to make it a little easier to see. Even though that line's already there and I can follow that line, but just to make it a little easier for myself to see. Whoops, it went off a little wonky there. Alrighty, and then here's the one going up the mold line, so that one's easier. I'm just going to darken that up a little. All right, so that is that. It's really not so bad. The hardest part is really drawing down that curved section. It's just a little bit awkward, but you'll get the hang of it after you do it a couple of times, I promise. And these lines will make your life so much easier when you are creating one of these bells. All right, I will talk to you soon. Happy ornamenting.